The Christian Reconquest of the Iberian Peninsula was a military and religious process lasting 774 years, during which the Christian kingdoms of the Iberian Peninsula regained control over regions conquered by the Muslims. In this video, you will learn about this complex process and understand why the Reconquista is considered one of the most significant events in history. Before discussing the Reconquista, we need to understand the context that led up to it. In the 7th century, prior to the Arab invasion of the Iberian Peninsula in 711, this region was inhabited by Germanic peoples who had converted to Christianity in the preceding centuries. These peoples had established various kingdoms in the region, with the Visigothic kingdom becoming predominant by the time of the Arab invasion. Meanwhile, in 632, following the death of Muhammad, who had unified almost the entire Arabian Peninsula under Islam, a new leader known as the Caliph was appointed, leading to the establishment of the Orthodox Caliphate, also called the Rashidun Caliphate. This caliphate was the first Islamic Arab empire, quickly expanding across the Middle East, conquering Damascus in 635 and Jerusalem in 638. They also advanced eastward, conquering Persian territories of the Sasanian Empire, and then moved into North Africa, taking Byzantine territories. By 642, they had captured Alexandria, and by 654, they controlled a vast empire. In 6061, the Rashidun Caliphate was succeeded by the Umayyad Caliphate. The Umayyad Caliphate continued the expansion of the Islamic Arab Empire, conquering the Maghreb region in northwest Africa between 669 and 710. That same year, with the death of Visigothic king Flavio Witiza, the Visigoths gathered to elect a successor. Despite being a monarchy, succession to the Visigothic throne was not hereditary, but decided by vote. This led to a dispute between two factions, one supporting Roderick and the other supporting Aguila. Aguila was the son of the deceased King Flavio Witiza, while Roderick was a high-ranking nobleman in Visigothic society. Roderick was elected king of the Visigoths, but Aguila's supporters refused to accept this outcome and sought assistance from the Muslims of North Africa, also known as Moors, who were part of the Umayyad Caliphate. Aguila's supporters hoped the Moors would help them depose Roderick and install Aguila as king. In exchange, the Moors would receive substantial rewards. Thus began the Arab invasion of the Iberian Peninsula. In 711, the Moors left Ceuta in North Africa, crossed the Strait of Gibraltar, and entered Visigothic territory. The Moorish forces were led by General Tariq ibn Ziyad and included Visigothic Jews who, disillusioned by persecution, decided to aid in the invasion. About 2 months later, the Battle of Guadalete occurred, where the Moors defeated the Visigothic army and killed King Roderick. This marked the end of the Visigothic kingdom and the beginning of the Arab conquest of the Iberian Peninsula. The Moors named the conquered lands Al-Andalus and began their expansion throughout the region. They captured Seville and Toledo, and eventually Córdoba and Granada surrendered. Within a few years, the Moors had rapidly advanced across the peninsula, capturing Zaragoza in 714. With most of the peninsula under their control, the surviving Visigoths fled north and established a resistance in the Asturias region. The mountainous terrain of Asturias made it difficult for the Moors to conquer, providing protection for the Visigoths. Another factor in the Visigoths' protection was the Moors' interest in crossing the Pyrenees Mountains, rather than focusing on Asturias. The Moors arrived in the Pyrenees around 716, defeating the Franks in battle and aiming to conquer all Mediterranean territories. However, Berber soldiers began to revolt against the Arabs in the northernmost regions of the Iberian Peninsula. In 718, Pelagius, the leader of the Visigothic refugees in the north, capitalized on the Muslim disarray and began the Reconquista of the Iberian Peninsula. Pelagius had been defending Asturias against numerous Moorish attacks, which helped him consolidate power and establish the Kingdom of Asturias. In 720, Islamic forces passed through the Pyrenees and occupied Narbonne, but were defeated by the Duke of Aquitaine in Toulouse the following year. In 722, inspired by this victory, the Asturian army achieved a significant victory against the Moors at the Battle of Covadonga. This victory is often considered the beginning of the Christian Reconquest of the region. Despite these setbacks, the Muslims, led by Abderrahman al-Gafeki, continued their advance into the Frankish kingdom. In 732, the Franks, led by Charles Martel, defeated the Muslims at the Battle of Poitiers, halting their expansion into Europe and forcing them to retreat to the Iberian Peninsula. In 739, a civil war among the Muslims of the Iberian Peninsula created a great opportunity for the Christians of Asturias. The Berbers, who had settled in Galicia in northern Iberia, abandoned their positions and moved south to support fellow Berbers in conflict with the Arabs. The Christian population in northern Iberia, united under Alfonso I of Asturias, reclaimed several northern regions in 740. In 750, the Umayyad Caliphate was replaced by the Abbasid Caliphate. However, Abdurrahman I, a prince of the Umayyad royal family who had taken refuge in Al-Andalus, refused to acknowledge Abbasid authority and founded the Emirate of Córdoba on the peninsula in 756. In 795, Charlemagne, king of the Franks, established the Marca Hispanica in the Pyrenees, creating a border between the Franks and the Muslims. This action limited the Arabs' impressive advance across the Iberian Peninsula towards Europe. From 824 onward, the Christian territories in Iberia began to fragment into new kingdoms. In 824, the province of Navarra gained independence, becoming the Kingdom of Navarra. A few years later, in 844, during the Battle of Clavijo, one of the most important battles of the Reconquista, the Apostle Santiago, James the Great, is said to have appeared and ensured Christian victory. Following this event, the Apostle Santiago was believed to have miraculously appeared in several battles, and Christians would invoke him for help before engagements. In 910, the Kingdom of Asturias split into the kingdoms of Galicia and Leon, while the Emirate of Córdoba became the Caliphate of Córdoba. In 931, the Kingdom of Castile emerged, and in 988, the County of Barcelona gained independence. The fragmentation of the Christian kingdoms made the Reconquista more challenging, as there was no political unity among them. Meanwhile, the Caliphate of Córdoba remained firm until the early 11th century, when a civil war among Muslims known as the Fitna of Al-Andalus began. In 1009, following a coup d'etat, Al-Andalus fragmented into several small Islamic kingdoms known as taifas. In 1031, the Caliphate of Córdoba was overthrown by these small Islamic kingdoms. In 1037, the kingdoms of Leon, Galicia, and Castile unified to form the Kingdom of Leon and Castile under Ferdinand I. The taifas were highly disunited, which benefited the Christians. Under Ferdinand I, they began advancing into Muslim territories from 1045. In 1085, Alfonso VI of Castile capitalized on the taifas' disunity and reconquered Toledo. Following this significant Christian advance, the Islamic kingdoms feared further conquest. They sought assistance from the Almoravid Empire, an Islamic empire in North Africa, founded by a Berber dynasty. With Almoravid support, the Islamic kingdoms defeated the Christians at the Battle of Zalaxa in 1086. Soon after, in 1090, the Islamic kingdoms attempted to recapture Toledo, but were repelled by Christian forces. From that year onward, Muslims changed strategy, beginning to unify the taifas through both warfare and agreements, leading to the rise of the Almoravid dynasty in the Iberian Peninsula. In 1093, the Welsh and the people of the Portucalense county captured the cities of Santarém, Lisbon, and Sintra. In 1094, the Castilian warrior Rodrigo Diaz de Vivar, better known as El Cid, conquered Valencia and established a principality there. After El Cid's death in 1099, his widow, Jimena Diaz, ruled the Principality of Valencia. However, in 1102, Alfonso VI of Leon invaded Valencia, set it on fire, and ceded it to the Almoravids. Despite this, El Cid's remarkable military achievements demonstrated to Christians that defeating the Almoravids was possible. Alfonso VI's actions in Valencia allowed the Almoravids not only to retain the city, but also to capture further northern territories in the peninsula that had belonged to smaller Islamic kingdoms. Consequently, in 1110, Zaragoza, the last independent Islamic kingdom, was also conquered by the Almoravids. From then on, the Almoravids held hegemony in Al-Andalus and, in the same year, reclaimed the cities of Lisbon and Santarém. In 1118, Alfonso I of Aragon advanced with his army and conquered Zaragoza. Alfonso did not stop there. He continued to conquer several territories south of the peninsula until his death in 1134. In 1139, following a great Christian victory at the Battle of Urique, Dom Afonso Henriques proclaimed himself King of Portugal, establishing the Kingdom of Portugal, which played a crucial role in the Reconquista. As Christian forces advanced and reclaimed more Muslim territories, the Almoravids began arresting and deporting Christians living in Muslim territory, which drastically reduced their tax revenue and weakened their hold. Simultaneously, another Berber group, the Almohads, began conquering territories in North Africa previously controlled by the Almoravids. To counter the Almohad advance, the Almoravids moved a significant portion of their troops from the Iberian Peninsula to reinforce their forces in North Africa. This exacerbated the Almoravids' already weakened position in the Iberian Peninsula. The crisis within the Almoravid Empire led to the fragmentation of their Iberian territories, resulting in the emergence of what is known as the Second Taifas, small territories governed by Muslim lords. In 1147, the Almohads captured Marrakesh, an important city previously held by the Almoravids. The Almoravid Empire suffered successive defeats until it was completely conquered by the Almohads, who established the Almohad Caliphate in the former Almoravid territories. As the Almoravid Empire fell, the Kingdom of Portugal reclaimed Santarém and Lisbon. In 1162, the Kingdom of Aragon and the County of Barcelona unified. In 1172, the Almohad Caliphate conquered the new Taifa territories ruled by Muslim lords in the Iberian Peninsula. By this time, the Christian kingdoms were well established, and the Almohad Caliphate was unable to advance beyond their current conquests, focusing instead on defending their holdings. In 1212, the Battle of Navas de Tolosa took place, one of the most significant battles of the Reconquista. King Afonso VIII of Castile, King Sancho VII of Navarre, King Pedro II of Aragon, the army of Afonso II of Portugal, and the knights of the Kingdom of Leon united to attack the Almohad Caliphate and secure their dominance over the Iberian Peninsula. Additionally, King Alfonso VIII of Castile requested Pope Innocent III to declare this battle a crusade, gaining the support of the Templars. In this battle, it is estimated that between 12,000 and 14,000 Christians faced around 22,000 to 30,000 Muslims and achieved an extraordinary victory. Following their defeat at the Battle of Navas de Tolosa, the Muslims were unable to recover. This battle not only marked significant territorial gains for the Christians, but also defined the beginning of their military, economic, and political dominance in the Iberian Peninsula. In 1228, the Almohads withdrew from the Iberian Peninsula, causing the Caliphate to fragment and giving rise to several new Islamic kingdoms. In 1229, the Kingdom of Aragon conquered the island of Minorca. In 1230, Afonso IX of Leon conquered the cities of Mérida and Badajoz. In 1235, the Kingdom of Aragon conquered all the remaining islands near Minorca. In 1236, Ferdinand III of Castile conquered Córdoba. In 1237, the remnants of the Almohad Caliphate in the Iberian Peninsula became the Emirate of Granada. In 1238, the Kingdom of Aragon conquered the Islamic kingdom in Valencia. Ferdinand III continued his campaign through Muslim territories, conquering the remaining Islamic kingdoms of the Taifas by the year 1243, and capturing Jaén in the year 1246, and Seville in the year 1248. In the year 1249, Dom Afonso III of Portugal captured Faro, and in the year 1340, the city of Cadiz was conquered by the Kingdom of Castile. At this point, the Emirate of Granada was the last refuge for Muslims in the Iberian Peninsula. Despite the gradual loss of their territories, Muslims remained in the peninsula until the start of the War of Granada in the year 1482. This war lasted over 10 years, concluding in the year 1492 when Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabella I of Castile conquered Granada, annexing it to the Kingdom of Castile. Thus, the Reconquista was completed in the year 1492 after almost 8 centuries of Islamic presence in the Iberian Peninsula. And that was the incredible story of the reconquest of the Iberian Peninsula. If you liked the video, leave a like. It helps a lot with my work. Thank you very much for watching until the end. I'll stay here and see you next time.